CCCQ.
Hello and welcome back to CQ, the AWS Certification quiz show, where I'm here today with Zoe, who's been kind enough to offer to do another very popular requested exam, our Cloud Practitioner exam.
Love
Zoe,
it.
welcome. Tell us a bit about what you do here at AWS.
Awesome. Hey everyone, I'm Zoe. I'm an account executive at AWS. I've been with the business for about 3 years now. I love it. They're going to have to wheel me out because I love it. I work in the public sector team, so I specialise in our healthcare vertical, looking after some of our state-based healthcare entities. And it's really, really rewarding, both as a passionate technologist, but also as a citizen. I sort of get to help improve something that I have to consume as a citizen as well. So really
That's a
love
really interesting outlook. I love that. So tell us a bit about what you're working on with these customers at the minute, Zoe.
Yeah, it's been an interesting time the last few months. It's obviously been COVID lately. So when all of this first kicked off, there's obviously a lot of good different government initiatives that we needed to jump on and support them with really, really quickly.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a wild ride, but I think overarchingly myself and my solution architect have felt really privileged to be supporting them in it. And we've helped really quickly deliver some amazing projects, some really large size contact centers and some really great SMS results bots so people can get their COVID results really quickly in a matter of hours, whereas before it was taking days. So really, really important citizen driven outcomes. So yeah, really, really exciting times, but it's been wild.
And now you're here on CQ.
Yeah, we are.
With
We're
me.
Talk about certification.
Yes, and in particular Cloud Practitioner. So you're certified. This is going to be good prep for you because you don't have Cloud Practitioner yet. Is that right?
I don't have my CPC. I have my Associate Solution Architect. I got that a few years ago, but this one's a little bit newer and I think it covers a few different topics. So I'm looking forward to going and doing this one and just refreshing things for me because there's so many new topics that come out. I think when I first started AWS, we had something like 70 something services and now we've got 200.
We started at a similar time actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to kind of delving into a few different topics and learning about some new services that are similar to other ones, but they do a couple different things. So it's been a little bit of a challenge to force myself to keep growing my knowledge. So it's been
That's
good.
what I love to hear. I love challenging our guests. And actually Cloud Practitioner is the only exam where some of those particular product or service definitions are relevant for the exam as well.
Okay.
So
Good to know.
let's take a look, shall we? So these are the 4 areas that Cloud Practitioner covered. And we're going to touch on I think each of these today, actually. So cloud concept, security and compliance, technology and economics.
Cool.
Are you ready
I am.
to give
I
it a
think
go?
so. I don't know. We'll see how we go.
All right,
Oh.
let's do it. Just quickly,
Yeah.
golden retrievers. You've got to explain your choice of green screen this week.
I love golden retrievers.
I got that.
Yeah, my partner and I are we're looking now for our little forever puppy.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
cute. Okay.
now that we have a yard, we're allowed to get a dog. I've been given the green light by the hubby, and we're going to get a golden retriever. His or her name is definitely going to be Jerry. Spelled J.
Haven't even met him yet. You've already decided on a name.
J-R-R-Y, no matter whether it's a boy or a girl.
Got it. I love
Yay!
it. Maybe it's going to look
Get
like
in the
my
car.
little bodyguard here, just hovering over my
We
shoulder.
both have little bodyguards.
I love it. All right, let's do it. Let's jump into our
Cool.
first question of today.
Let's do it.
Hitting you with economics first.
All
One
right.
of those Cloud Practitioner key concepts.
Yes,
Are you ready, Zoe?
I am.
All right, question number 1. Which of the following pricing plans is the best option for running workloads that are fault tolerant and stateless?
Okay. All right. So I think there's probably a few things we need to unpack to make sure we get to the right answer. Probably the definition of fault tolerant and
Let's do it.
stateless. So fault tolerant means that something can continue operating even if something breaks down. Let's say in a web application, maybe the web server goes down, that things could still operate and you could still do
Perfect.
things to it. And stateless means that it has the ability to recover. So might not record the transaction history. The history is being stored somewhere else, but you can pick up that transaction at another time.
Awesome.
So with that in mind, the answer is reasonably clear for me in spot pricing is probably the best.
Oh, it jumps out straight away?
Yeah, so the thing to understand with spot is it's an ever-changing market size. So Spot, for those of you that aren't aware, Spot is a concept within our facilities. We have massive amounts of compute available to our customers that allows them to scale up and scale down as they need. If you think about like Amazon Prime Day or Netflix releasing a new show, they're going to need a lot of capacity to be able to serve all this traffic out to people. And so they need to be able to consume that, but at times that it doesn't need to be consumed. We have a lot of unused capacity in our data centers, and so we make that available to our customers at a very, very discounted rate to like encourage usage. And that comes often at a discount of about 90% from on demand. And so customers can use it, but it's not always going to be there. So as demand increases and people are turning things on demand, then the spot market is reducing. So you need to be able to run workloads that are stateless, that can be paused or stopped. Otherwise, you would lose where you're up to. So very good for things like high performance computing, genomics workloads, data, number crunching, and all of that sort of thing. So for me, it's really clear that it's about Spot.
Straight up. But let's check on the other answers,
absolutely,
right?
because we know Amazon likes to look for the most correct answer. And that means others.
I like that. That's exactly right. Correct. That's a great tip, actually. So, savings plan, our most recent release.
Cost optimization. So we love savings plan. It's basically like the better version of RIs, or reserved instances, which we'll touch on as well. But it's the newest flavor that makes it really easy for customers to cost optimize. So it's basically a discount on particular services for a commitment in usage. It covers a few services at this time, I believe. You've got EC2, Lambda, and Fargate are some of the initial ones.
Okay.
But it's a discount for an hourly commitment. So people say, I'm going to use X amount of dollars per hour, and then we give them a discount. It's over 1 or 3 years, and they can pay all upfront, partial, or no upfront. And the discounts vary based on obviously how much you want to pay upfront.
Perfect.
Cool. Dedicated hosts. It's dedicated physical machines for your, I guess, compute needs. This just isn't the correct answer. It can be used for both stateless and stateful workloads, so it's not correct. And reserved instances, obviously, this is one of the earliest discount mechanisms we had for customers that said, I want to use X amount over 1 to 3 years. And we say, great, here's a discount. Where it's different to savings plan is that it's to a specific instance, family, and type. So it's very specific, and you need to know exactly what you're going to be using over 1 to 3 years to lock in that commitment. And it was only over 5 different services. So EC2, RDS, Elasticache, Redshift, and DynamoDB was the 5th one. So
look at you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So there you go.
So pretty easy answer. Whether you had studied for your cloud practitioner or not in this one.
Yes.
Lock it in Spot?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. And of course, the answer is Spot. Feeling better?
Okay,
Relaxed?
yeah, absolutely.
Ready for question number 2?
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome. All right, data migration.
Cool.
What capability does AWS Snowball Edge provide?
Cool.
Love this.
Yeah. So I love Snowball. So this one is it's such a cool product. So basically, Snowball is something that we would ship to you, and this sort of will give the answer just because I do know what it is. I'd hope after 3 years that I know what a Snowball is. But it's a physical box that we send out to customers where they can upload their data, object store, and then ship it back to us.
Physically send it back to us.
Physically send it back, and then we'll plug it into our facilities, load it into a designated S3 bucket that you've created for us, and then we'll load that data in there. So it's a really simple way to be able to ship petabyte scale data over to AWS in a physical box, so it doesn't have to go over the internet very, very slow for like 80 terabytes.
Yep, so not about speed, we're about large amounts of data.
Lumps at a time, secure, ruggedized boxes straight into your AWS account. So it is definitely number 2, but let's go through the other answers.
Maybe we can try and work out what the rest are.
Totally. There's a lot of really good, interesting things in these other ones. So a network layer service to improve availability and performance for internet applications used by a global audience. Now, there's a couple potential answers to this one.
Couple keywords in there that kind of give it away to me.
Yeah. So the one that I initially lent towards was CloudFront. So our content delivery network, the ability to serve traffic to users via edge locations rather than the ability to serve via edge locations.
Yes.
The other one that it could have been was
Global
Accelerator.
Yeah.
So that was one that is it's not actually new, it's just a different option. So let's say I was in London and I wanted to upload a file into an S3 bucket in Sydney, I could upload it via
The global accelerator?
Yeah, so I could upload it via our London, let's say, edge location or region, and then that will travel via the AWS backbone to the Sydney region to be stored in that S3 bucket. And so it makes it occur quicker. It's not via the internet. It's more secure, all those sorts of things. So that's where it could be global accelerator as well, to improve availability and performance of internet applications. So
that's what I thought. The questions do tend to give something away, and with the global specificness of answer one.
That's why it could be a global accelerator.
Yeah, but you never know. What about number 3?
3, so a data transfer service for moving and replicating data to AWS storage services over the internet or over AWS Direct Connect. Now, I'm going to admit, I had the wrong inclination myself. I thought this was storage gateway, and I think there's been a newer service that's come out since I started, which is called AWS Data Sync.
Yes.
So it uses basically all your internet bandwidth to be able to really quickly move files and data onto the AWS platform. Whereas storage gateway, which is where I was led to, it can replicate. So you can cache. Let me start from the beginning. You download a virtual appliance onto your on-prem environment with storage gateway, and you can use it in 2 different ways. You can either have all of your files on-prem and then replicate back and back up onto AWS using, S3 and Glacier and all those great object store options, or you can actually put everything on the AWS platform and use storage gateway to then bring back down files and cache on-prem. So you've got 2 different options. So that was sort of why storage services over the internet, it does all of those things. So that's why I originally went with what would have been the wrong option on that one. Alas, it's still not the answer to the question, but there's some options there for you. And then
I think it might be data sync if I'm, most updates are put onto the exam 6 months after release.
Totally.
So that would make sense.
Absolutely,
right now,
yeah. Data sync is the right answer. I just went with the wrong one. Data sync is a little bit newer, so that's why this coursework has actually been good for me to go back and do, because again, there's been so many new things that are hard to stay across. There's been a few hundred new services since I joined. So anyway, and then migrate data from your on-premises database to your Amazon RDS. Well, we know that Snowball Edge is used for object store, which is for things going into S3. And so the more ideal data transfer and migration service for RDS and databases would be Amazon Database Migration Service. So this can be used for both homogeneous database migration, which that means if you're going from, let's say, on-prem, you've got SQL on compute on-prem and you want to go SQL on EC2 on AWS, you can do homogeneous database migration service, or go like for like. And then if you wanted to go from SQL on EC2 to SQL on RDS, you can do heterogeneous, so it transforms in flight and lands on RDS. And somehow magically it operates, and people very smart created that service. So it's not number 4, but I got totally lost in what you were saying.
Sorry. I feel like I could sit here and listen to you all day, but we're locking in number. No, don't apologize. That's amazing. We're locking in number 2.
Number 2, and I think, do we have a picture?
I think producer John has given us a little picture. Let's
Yeah.
have a look, shall we?
So
there we go.
You can see a ruggedized exterior there.
Yeah.
You can see, so it takes up to 80 terabytes. It's got some compute in there, so you have some compute capacities that you can be doing in flight. So I think there's an example that we'll show. And then Snowmobile is super cool. So you can literally take petabytes and load it up. We've had customers do this. There's one in a lot of different countries that we have. There's one in Australia. They've been and reinvent in the US. They drove, Snowmobile onto stage, and it is very, very cool. Yeah, really, really cool.
Crazy. And
yeah,
what about this little cheeky link that producer John's chucked in my deck today?
Yeah, this is a lovely example of Snowball Edge live in use in an area on a boat. So Oregon State University, the Marine Science Center, is able to do offline storage and compute out in the field, and then they can bring that data and the work that they've been doing, load it back up into their AWS environment and continue operating once they are no longer in the field.
It's pretty awesome.
It helps not hamper their capability in the field. They're able to go do really effective research wherever they are.
And by the sounds of it, one of your favorite products.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I like that we've got something that makes it easier to move your data around very quickly and securely.
3 for 3. No, 2 for 2 so far. Let's try and get 3 for free.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Free for free.
For 3.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Question number 3, tech support.
Yep.
So we actually had this question in the deck for one of our TAMs, our technical account managers, who were on a few weeks ago, and we didn't get to this question.
Oh,
so we've put it in here for you.
Cool. All right. Well,
So you can do this one for us. So Zoe, which level of AWS support provides a designated TAM, or a technical account manager, who provides advocacy and guidance to help plan and build solutions using best practices, coordinate access to subject matter experts, SMEs, and product teams, and proactively keep your AWS environment operationally healthy? Very wordy question. However, this is exactly the definition of what we're looking for.
Okay.
Right? That's the point.
perfect. No problem.
Cloud concepts.
So, technical account managers are absolute angels. This is the first thing I would say. They're an absolute, the greatest addition to an account team. So normally an account team at AWS is like an account executive like myself. We have a solution architect, and then if you're fortunate enough to have a customer subscribe to this tier of support at AWS,
we'll talk about it in just a moment.
You will get a technical account manager, and
they're my go-tos.
they're really great for getting very deep into a customer account, looking at, like it says, operational capabilities, making sure they're cost optimized, really getting really deep into the account. They have permissions and things like that us as account teams don't have access to. So it's their job to really peel apart what's going on in an account and making sure they're operationally just smooth, know how to use support, all that sort of thing. So
which tier would we get access to this? Amazing.
Yep. It will be enterprise support.
Yes.
It's our most premium version of support that obviously they get the creme de la creme. So they have the fastest SLA response times for tickets. They can do unlimited amounts of tickets. They can do emails, submit tickets, web and chat. So they can get on chat if they prefer, or a phone call if they want. Get access to premium engineers, and they get their TAM as well. There's a whole bunch of other
resources.
Full resources, and 24/7 coverage. Those poor TAMs get woken up if there's a really high SEV ticket. They'll get paged at 3 a.m. and they'll deal with it like the angels that they are. But the other forms of support are also really, really good. So I would stress for developer support, if you're just getting started, you're looking at some sort of dev test workloads, you're having a tinker, it's really important to subscribe to business support. So you get basic when you first start and allows for billing queries.
Awesome.
Developer support's one level above that. So with developer, you can
$29
a month. You can email in queries. You'll get responses during business hours, and you can submit an unlimited amount of queries. When you move up towards business support, this is what we highly recommend when you're going to run production workloads or critical workloads. Good thing about business support is it also allows for chat and email and phone calls with support engineers. It's 24/7 follow the sun support. And
developer was 9 till 5, correct?
Yeah, business hours. And with business, you also get the access to general guidance. So this is the best thing about AWS support is it's not just break fix. You don't just call when something's broken. You can go, hey, look, I'm trying to design this environment. Am I thinking about doing this correctly? Can you validate this code? Or should I watch out for this service limit? Am I going to hit something? And so they're really good at being that sort of trusted advisor as you're designing and building, and they want to ensure you're designing per best practice. So that's where they're very, very useful. And obviously
not just for problems.
Absolutely not. No,
Cool.
They're very, very useful. I have customers submitting tickets all the time, not for business critical problems at all. And then when it comes to Trusted Advisor, we love Trusted Advisor, customers and AWS. I think
yes, we do.
It's one of the first things that I learned about when I onboarded, and it's an exceptional tool. So Trusted Advisor comes with developer, enterprise, and business support. Developer gets 7 metrics out of Trusted Advisor, and business and enterprise get the full. But basically, Trusted Advisor is we run analysis over your environment to see how it's operating per our best practice recommendations, and it looks at 5 different things. You've got cost, performance, security, fault tolerance, and service limits. So it looks at all of these markers and looks for health. And so you'll see in the console, it'll automatically start generating for you. You can go and step in and see what they're like, but it'll go green, orange, red. Green meaning, yep, you're aligned to best practice. Orange meaning you're slightly askew, but it's not really high risk. Mm-hmm. And then red means there's some things that
Let's fix it.
Absolutely. These are things like you've got a really over-provisioned EC2 instance and you're using a fraction of it. We recommend that you snapshot down to X, and here's how you do it. So it gives you those guidance. it might talk about you've got an open port, or you've got an open to the public S3 bucket. Did you mean to do that? This is really, you shouldn't do it, and here's how you turn it back off. So really nice prescriptive recommendations. My understanding is Trusted Advisor has proactively saved our customers hundreds of millions of dollars over the last several years. So a really useful tool to help you save money.
Awesome. With all that, I've totally forgotten the answer we went for.
Enterprise.
I got lost again, Zoe.
Yeah.
Let's just double check. Of course, you are correct. Let's go to question number 4.
Okay.
Ready?
Let's
You're not
do
too
it.
tired yet?
No.
Let's do it. Oh, nice. Okay, so we got some high availability.
Yes.
So when designing an application for HA, it is recommended to use multiple what?
Okay. So this is a really, really important one. And at AWS we always talk about designing for failure. So everything is failure is unavoidable. It's going to happen whether you're on-prem, in colo, in cloud. Technology breaks, and we recommend that you design for that. And that's something that we spend a lot of time helping our customers do every day. And so there's specific ways that we recommend that you do that. So if you look at edge locations, so edge locations are a part of our a whole infrastructure and network. Edge locations sit outside of regions most often, in locations where we want to be able to help our customers serve traffic to their end users really effectively. So let's say I was hosting in the Sydney region and someone in Perth wanted access to this image file. It can be sent via the AWS backbone from the Sydney region out to our edge location in Perth, and then travel the least amount of distance on the internet, which can be affected by other factors of traffic and things like that.
Of course.
Lower latency if it goes via the AWS backbone for as long as possible. But the thing with edge locations is you can only cache and serve traffic from it. You can't host your infrastructure there. So in terms of creating a high availability environment, an edge location isn't one of the factors that you could use for that.
And we're over 200 now.
We are.
Edge locations
Very
around
cool.
the
We're
world.
growing.
Yeah.
Last time I looked, I feel like it was only like 125. So it's like, goodness.
We need to keep checking in on that.
Yeah, we do.
Hopefully I've got it right today.
Yeah.
Regions.
So the concept of regions at AWS is a geographical location with a collection of data centers. Now you can design across regions if you so chose. It's not necessarily recommended because there is a better way to be doing that, which is availability zones. So the availability zones are what we refer to within regions as the cluster of data centers. So a region is made up of one or more availability zones, and availability zones are usually made up of one or more data centers. And if we recommend that you design 2 of everything, so across 2 availability zones would be the ideal design recommendation that you'd make. A third is a nice to have. It's not the most essential to have. It's up to you if you want to go across all 3. But if you architect across 2 availability zones, if something happened in one, or let's say you've got a web server in one or the other and one goes down, and you've got a lovely application load balancer in front of that, you can fail over onto the other one.
Okay.
So it will continue operating.
So you're saying in one of the 76, I think, availability zones?
Oh, is that how many we have now?
Yeah. Answer?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. One of the 2 of the 76 availability zones would be
because the trick to HA is 2 of everything.
Yes, the ability to recover it or continue operating in failure, and thus if you're operating across both, you should be okay. And then VPCs, that's your virtual private cloud. This is your logically isolated network of everything that's yours within the AWS cloud that you choose to spin up. These operate across availability zones. They don't operate across regions. There's a service called VPC peering that can help with that. I wanted to do a little drawing for you guys. Yeah. Just to sort of demonstrate what...
This is exciting.
Yeah.
We haven't had this before.
Yeah. Just to demonstrate a little bit of what a region looks like, why availability zones are important, how AWS has taken quite a lot of consideration in how they build their regions to allow customers to have a really optimal, high availability, fault tolerant environment on AWS. So,
okay, I'm excited. What are we doing?
So right now we're going to talk about, for example, the Sydney region, right? And so the Sydney region, if we're going to do it, looks like this. This is the region, and then in the region we have availability zones. And in these availability zones are 1 or more data centers, in the Sydney region.
Okay.
Now, these shouldn't be touching.
Very important.
Sorry.
Good. No, I like the perfection here.
Now, the thing to understand is a lot of thought goes into how we build our regions.
Absolutely.
So we think about looking at having them on different floodplains provided by different electricity grids, internet providers, things like that. So they're logically separated from failure. So if we think about them, they're separated like this. Now,
Zoe, this is looking remarkably like a pizza at the minute.
It's not pizza, a region. So they're separated enough from failure.
Yep.
And they're about 80 kilometres apart. I should probably do that. 80 kilometres, 50 miles, something like that. And the importance of this is the fact that they're within 80 kilometres of each other means that they're close enough to enable synchronous replication, which means that they act as though they're in the same data center. So single-digit millisecond latency allows for just like obviously everything to communicate as it needs to, databases, things like that. But they're far enough away that if something happened to one of them, the others would continue to operate independently. So let's say, for example, I mentioned earlier around a load balancer. If you had, let's say, a web server in both of these AZs and you had your application load balancer serving traffic to both, and if something happened to this availability zone and traffic could continue to be served to this AZ and your customer experience would be still sufficient, they would be able to access that website, do whatever they needed to. So this is how you would continue to operate.
So still our 11.9s.
11.9s, absolutely. Yep. And that way your customers continue to operate and you don't have to do anything. This would just automatically keep pivoting to serve traffic to this other availability zone until this one came back online.
This was amazing.
Good. Oh, the other thing is edge locations. So Melbourne, Perth, these are two that we have in Australia. These are outside of the region. So these come out onto a different backbone. Oh, and these are all connected by our own dedicated piping, our own fibre. There.
Anything else you want to add?
I think that's it.
To this pizza diagram.
Pizza.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay, well that was exciting. We've just upped the
hope
game for
sense.
our guests now. Actually, bringing in their own
Really important
props. I love this. Oh, we didn't even reveal the answer, Zoe. Okay. Of course, availability zones as described by the pizza. Let us move on to question number 5. Now, am I going to be shocked with any of the props coming in?
No more props.
Okay, good.
I'm only a one prop gal.
This is a good way to finish. Let's finish with this question. Okay, security. Sure. Are you ready?
Yep.
So, under the AWS shared responsibility model, and hopefully regular viewers will get this one right. We touch on this now and again as a good reminder. Which of the following responsibilities is correct?
Okay.
So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up our shared responsibility slide and maybe you can talk through a bit of that for
100%,
us.
Yeah.
And then we'll go back and look at the answers.
Yep. So this is really important, especially with public sector customers.
Absolutely,
It's really, really important understanding, what is our responsibility, what is theirs, what do we have access to and what do we not. So, I always like to visualize what AWS has to take care of in when it comes to security. So if you think about it's the physical data centers, right? It's the actual buildings. These do not say AWS on the outside. They're very nondescript. These are the security guards that manage the outside. These are the people inside that manage who has access, who's got credentials, going through those, security monitors, those that can bring in hardware and plug it all together and set it up and design it, all of that, and up to those that kind of do all of our sort of patching layers and things like that we need to manage. We manage up to the OS layer.
Got it.
And then everything above that, as you can see in this table, customers need to do their own encryption, their own firewalls, their own management of who can access the environments. They need to patch their servers, manage the operating systems, run the applications, all of that sort of thing. So really, when it comes to what you run on the cloud, that's what the customer needs to do. So we usually call it AWS takes care of the security of the cloud, being that physical side of it, and customers take care of what is in the cloud, what they choose to put on it, run it, who has access to it, all of those sorts of things. Now there's a couple little exceptions when it comes to things that are managed services from AWS. So if you think of Amazon RDS, Relational Database Service, we do manage the operating system when it comes to that. But again, they're more the exceptions to the rules and it's a managed service.
Got it.
Yeah.
Should we have a look at the answers?
Sure.
Here we go.
Okay.
AWS is responsible for verifying SSH key pairs.
No, That's a customer role, and that's around how they can dive into the code.
Number 2.
Yep. The customer is responsible for updating operating systems. Yes.
That is
we
the
like
correct
that
answer. I like that.
Yeah. Do you want both AWS and the customer responsible for physical security? No, absolutely not. That is
On us.
this guy.
Number 4.
AWS is responsible for installing applications. No, because customers need to install whatever they would like to run on their AWS environment themselves.
Note to producer John, we need to make these wordings more tricky next time.
Oh,
Because after the picture,
I
this
know,
is now
it's-
super
Yeah.
slick and easy.
Yeah.
All right, so we're locking in number 2. Of course, it is number 2. Zoe, thank you so much for being here
No
with
problem.
me
It's
today,
been
and
great.
all the little extras you did. This was super fun. Hopefully, we'll be able to get you on again, maybe after you've done
Oh,
this exam,
yeah.
and you can bring us some tips back
when
to
I
the
prep
show.
for my SysOps, maybe I'll do this one, and then
right,
I'll get
locking it
we'll
in.
prep when I'm prepping SysOps.
Awesome, that'd
Yep.
be fantastic.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you for joining us once again on CQ. We will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.